Hello little friends, welcome to our channel, Wisdom for Kids. I'm so happy you're here today. Let's continue our journey through the Bible stories for kids. Last time, we explored the beautiful Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve lived in perfect peace and joy with God. They walked with God, cared for the animals, and enjoyed every blessing in the garden. But today, something unexpected happens, a big mistake. This is a very important story. It helps us understand why the world isn't perfect anymore. Today's story is called The First Sin, and it comes from Genesis chapter 3. Are you ready? Let's go. Episode 3, The First Sin, Genesis chapter 3, verses 1-24. Everything in the Garden of Eden was just right. The trees were tall and green. The rivers were clean and cool. The animals were friendly and playful. Adam and Eve had everything they needed. They had food, water, beauty, and most importantly, they had God walking with them each day. They were never scared, never sad, never lonely. God had given them one rule. He told them in Genesis 2:16-17, "You may eat from every tree in the garden, but do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you eat from that tree, you will surely die." It was a simple rule, and for a while, Adam and Eve obeyed. But someone else was in the garden. A clever and sneaky creature, the serpent. This serpent wasn't just a regular animal. He was being used by Satan, the enemy of God. Satan wanted to trick Adam and Eve. He wanted them to stop trusting God. He wanted to bring sadness into the world. One day, Eve was near the tree that God told them not to eat from. The fruit looked shiny and delicious, but she remembered God's command. As she stood there, the serpent slithered up beside her. He said to Eve, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" Genesis 3:1. Eve answered, "We may eat from the trees in the garden, but God said, 'You must not eat fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die.'" Genesis 3:2-3. The serpent shook his head. "You will not surely die," he said. "God knows that when you eat it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like him, knowing good and evil." Genesis 3:4-5. Eve looked again at the fruit. It looked good for food, it looked beautiful, and it seemed like it would make her wise. She began to wonder, was God trying to keep something from her? Was the serpent telling the truth? She reached out and picked the fruit. She took a bite, and then she gave some to Adam, who was with her. And he ate it too. Genesis 3:6. In that moment, everything changed. Adam and Eve suddenly felt something they had never felt before. They looked at each other and felt afraid. They realized they were naked. They felt shame. Quickly, they gathered large leaves and tried to make clothes to cover themselves. But they couldn't cover what had happened in their hearts. Something was broken now, their trust, their peace, their closeness with God. Then they heard something, the sound of God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, Genesis 3:8. Usually, this made them smile and run to him. But not this time. This time, Adam and Eve hid among the trees. They were afraid. They didn't want God to see them, but God knew exactly where they were. He called out, "Adam, where are you?" Genesis 3:9. Adam stepped out slowly. "I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." Genesis 3:10. God asked, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?" Genesis 3:11. Adam didn't say yes or no. Instead, he said, "The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree, and I ate it." Genesis 3:12. Then God turned to Eve. "What is this you have done?" Genesis 3:13. Eve replied, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." God was heartbroken. He loved Adam and Eve deeply. He had made them with care. But now they had disobeyed him. They had chosen their own way instead of his. Because of this, there were consequences. First, God spoke to the serpent. "Because you have done this, cursed are you above all animals. You will crawl on your belly and eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put hatred between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." Genesis 3:14-15. This was not just a punishment, it was also a promise. One day, someone would come a savior who would defeat Satan forever. Then God spoke to Eve. He said, "I will make childbirth painful. You will have great sorrow when you have children, and your relationship with your husband will be harder than before." Genesis 3:16. Then God spoke to Adam. He said, "Because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree, the ground is cursed because of you. You will have to work hard for your food. Thorns and weeds will grow. You will sweat and struggle until you return to the dust from which you were made." Genesis 3:17-19. And then came the saddest part of all. Adam and Eve could no longer stay in the garden. Their sin had separated them from God's perfect presence. He loved them still, but the garden was a holy place. God made garments from animal skins to clothe them. Then he sent them away from Eden, Genesis 3:21-23. And to protect the way back, he placed mighty angels with flashing swords at the entrance to the garden. They guarded the tree of life, Genesis 3:24. It was a very sad day. The world was now different. It was broken by sin. There would be pain, sadness, and death. But it was not the end of the story. Even though Adam and Eve disobeyed, God never stopped loving them. He gave them hope. He gave them a promise. He said one day a child would come. That child would crush the head of the serpent. That child would defeat sin and death forever. And that child is Jesus. Today, we learned that disobeying God brings sadness. Sin brings separation from God. But even when we sin, God does not stop loving us. He made a plan to rescue us through Jesus, and He always keeps His promises. Whenever you feel like hiding because you did something wrong, remember, God is calling, "Where are you?" He wants you to come back, not run away. He wants to forgive you. He wants to help you. He loves you no matter what. So, if you make a mistake, talk to Him. Tell Him the truth. Say you're sorry. And trust that He is full of love and mercy. See you next time, friends. we'll continue our journey through the Bible and discover more of God's amazing plan. Good night and sleep tight.